Hey Rye, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. And I know we just talked briefly just a couple seconds ago, but I want to just kind of see how you're doing and how you're holding up during the quarantine.
Yeah, I've been good. I think this quarantine's a little tough on everyone, but trying to stay mentally stable and physically in shape. So I've been trying new things like crafts and card tricks and baking, which I never do. So it's definitely a different change. And actually, before the quarantine, I got a ski erg installed in my house, so I've been ripping that thing quite a bit. So other than that, I think it's been okay.
What do you think of the ski erg?
It was tough to start off with. I mean, over time, I've built up a tolerance, but I have a long way to go, and hopefully, it translates to the ice.
You know what, I'll tell you, it definitely was probably one of the best investments that I made later on in my career because it does. I do think it translates perfectly. I know for me, just because of the motion, and for people that are listening, a ski erg is basically what cross country skiers or skiers use to train, and it mimics the motion of skiing with the ski poles, but it also is in line with the mechanic of pushing your sled as well. So there's two poles attached to a rope, and it's almost just like somebody took a rowing machine and put it up against the wall and just gave you two handles to pull down instead of sitting on something and pulling like you're rowing. So it's kind of an interesting machine to use, and a lot of sledge players are using. So that's what we're talking about right now. Maybe I'll post a link to it in the description. But yeah, other than that, what kind of other things are you doing? You said that you were trying to experiment with new ways to get in shape. Do you want anything you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, so I'm learning new ways to work out. I mean, with my disability and all, I mean, I was fortunate enough to get a kettlebell from my local gym, and I got a mat as well. And I tried going on the floor today and trying to do push-ups and overhead extensions with the kettlebell and shoulder mobility stuff. So it's all new to me, and it's kind of part of the learning process. And again, hopefully it translates to the ice and makes me more in shape.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I find myself trying to do prison workouts in my apartment. I kind of feel like doing like a prisoner doing the push-ups, trying to keep jacked and strong. But I got a little dumbbell here, and I found myself doing some sit-ups here and there, and trying to do some tricep extensions, like when I'm going into the bathtub and stuff like that. Might be TMI, but just
Yeah.
trying to get little workouts whenever I can because it's getting a little crazy with being stuck at home for so long, and at some point you got to start getting a little bit of physical exercise here and there. But so that's great. So into more of a negative topic though, for those of you who aren't too familiar with latest Straz news online, his dad Tom posted something a little while ago from somebody's Instagram, and I read it, and I was just, well, Billy Bridges actually told me. So I mean, people are talking about it in the sledge world because like people are like, what? So Billy told me about it, and basically it's this woman that was on Instagram, this young woman, and I guess I'm not even gonna try to pretend to remember her name or whatever, but she wrote, "There is no way Adidas should have even sponsored you. You literally make me want to smash you in the face and make you fall out of your wheelchair and watch you struggle to get back in it." And blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. But anyways, hurtful comment. She's clearly got some kind of issue. And for me, my first response when I read that was, "Uh oh, what did Rye do?" Like, because maybe you said something or got into a conversation or something. But then I noticed just it was just her talking like out of a post. Like it wasn't even in response to anything. So she just went off on you. I don't know if you want to explain that. Like I don't really want to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but do you want to explain to the people what that was all about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a lawsuit that was filed for the accident, and living in a chair, the expenses are going to come at me, and I'm going to need some of these funds to help me live, basically. So, what happened was my lawyer filed the lawsuit, and under the lawsuit, it had the bus driver's estate, the name of the estate, which you know isn't the family. It's his insurance company, so that our insurance companies can have it out. But there was a Calgary reporter who took it the wrong way and basically made it out to villainize me and say that I was suing the family, which I was not. So people took it the wrong way, and I received if I had to guess, maybe a few hundred hate messages over Facebook and social media. So Yeah, a lot of threats that way, but I think that one really stood out the most. And yeah, I didn't let it get to me. I knew this was probably going to happen, and unfortunately, people took it the wrong way and felt the need to sit behind a keyboard and go after me and my family like that. So people didn't realize the whole story, and I think hopefully once they hear this or read an article and fully understand it, I think it'll change their opinions. But if not, I mean, they're not a part of my life, so I don't have to worry about that stuff.
I don't know. It's a strange world, and I think everybody's like, I mean, I don't know when that post was, so I'm not like gonna give her like that's not an excuse, but
Yeah,
like, because I wanted to jump all over her too, right? I looked her up, and I'm like, what? Who is this? Like this
yeah,
lady?
exactly.
Like chill out, like, um,
Yeah,
but it's crazy. But how are you handling? You just kind of like water off your back. You just like you said, you had a couple hate messages and stuff like that, and
exactly. I mean, it's just words in the end. I mean, obviously, you knew some people probably weren't going to take it the right way, but again, you gotta kind of act professionally and not respond and not worry about it. Just continue doing what you do and in a positive way. So, yeah, like you mentioned, it's just people don't know the whole story, and you gotta kind of, I guess, roll with the punches in a way. So, it's over with now, and I haven't received any other hate messages that way. So,
as,
um,
as long as you don't have to roll with her punches.
yeah,
That's all that
exactly.
matters. But yeah, threatening physical abuse isn't cool to anybody, especially somebody you don't even freaking know. So yeah, chill out,
Exactly. Yeah.
have a conversation, whatever. But don't resort to that. It's too easy. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, how you feel about hockey? You missing the ice right now, or you kind of enjoying the break?
Yeah, no, I obviously the first week away from hockey is not bad. I mean, being on Team Alberta this year, they had camps lined up, and I was on the ice about 4 or 5 times a week with, former Team Canada player Chris Cederstrand and some of the other guys on the team right now. So, it was a lot of ice, but that first week is fine, and then after that, you're kind of itching to get back out there. So, last time I was on, I think, was beginning of March. So, kind of missing it, and hopefully things open up again.
So I kind of have just a bunch of questions popping into my mind now because, like, I'm so interested to find out because I've been playing sledge hockey my entire life and I know what kind of drew me into it. But I'd love to know, like, what now that you've had a few years to kind of get the hang of the sport and kind of tinker around, and you've had the ups and downs of trying to figure out the balance and stuff like that, like everybody else does. Like I struggled with it too. It's not a sport that you just jump in and get good at. Like you really do have to practice and find out what works with you. What's your favorite aspect of the sport other than the hockey side of it? Like is there anything in particular that you kind of found really interesting that motivated you to kind of stick with the challenge, or is it just strictly hockey for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've even before like stand up, I guess I've always wanted to wear the maple leaf, and um, I've always had a huge passion for hockey, but also in the locker room too. I think it's totally different. Like everyone has their own disability, and you learn stories, and it kind of motivates you. And I know for some people, for me personally, I've always wanted to prove people wrong and step up to the plate for challenges. So it's a big challenge coming up, and I'm just trying to have fun with it and see where it takes me. Obviously, the goal would be to hopefully make Team Canada one day, but for now, I'm just training every day and um, having fun with it. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Is if I don't make it, I mean, it's obviously a fun process, but it's challenging too, and I enjoy that. So for now, it's just all about having fun and kind of seeing where it takes me.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like by the way that you carry yourself and the with the time that I've had with you, talking with you, um, you're very determined. You're a natural warrior, and just your dedication to improving at the sport. Actually, I just have to say a mad respect for just how you've taken a hold of the sport, and also, I mean, just giving it a little bit more exposure. I come from a long background of playing, inclusive sports as they call them, but like I've always just seen them as sports. So it's really cool to see you just kind of get passionate about something new too. But so tell me about Team Alberta. How did you find being on that team? Like, was there a tryout, or how does the program run? I got to just see a bit of a camp there, but is there a tryout process? And if so, like, how did you feel about trying out for your first sledge team?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been playing for just over a year. When I first tried out, and the tryouts, there was a few cuts to be made, and obviously I'm not. I know I'm going in. I know I'm not the most skilled out there, but it's no excuse for someone to work harder than me. So I just put in the effort, and yeah, there's a tryout process in October. They did a few cuts, and I was fortunate enough to make the team. And we had coaches meeting afterwards, and they kind of ranked each player. So for me personally, I mean, obviously I need to work on a lot of things, but to the table I brought a little bit of hockey IQ and sort of that passion for the sport and the work ethic. So obviously, like you said, it doesn't just happen naturally over time or right away. So putting in the work over time, hopefully my sled skills and stuff like that catch up, and I could be a good contributor to Team Alberta in the upcoming seasons.
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased being from Ontario, so whenever, because I'm good friends with Steve Arsenault, who also played alongside me on the blue line there for a while there, and he's your coach, and he always chirps me about our program and how they're going to kick the crap out of Ontario, and I'm always like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, because I like the guys in Ontario, I want to see, obviously I'm going to root for the home team, but that was a very impressive experience for me to go and see you guys working together and having such, what you guys have a level of professionalism, that I noticed through most of the team, and the dedication and just the fun that you guys were having out there together. I could tell that you were very cohesive. So I mean, somebody's doing something right. So it was pretty cool. But going back to the change room, so what I found when I got involved in my very first experience with the change room and like being around other disabled people, because like I grew up in a small town where, Orton, Ontario, I did not know anyone disabled. The only disabled people that I ever saw were people that were on television, and let's admit, like, there's a bit of a stigma that television kind of gives within the disabled community, and kind of like puts a weird image of what the
yeah,
let's say like normal or generic disabled person is. But for me, I found like that when I went, the biggest eye opener for me was just how normal everybody was, like, and how quickly I kind of learned, and my brain kind of learned to see through people's disabilities and just kind of take them more for face value, and just how they treat people and how they act and what they say. What was your first initial reaction, like once you met a lot of people in a big group like that? Like, was it uncomfortable? Like, was there somebody that kind of broke the ice with you, or was it just kind of you just kind of adapted and just kind of went with the flow?
yeah. I mean, at first it's something I'm not used to. So obviously seeing guys with no legs, or other guys in wheelchairs, it's like you said, they're just normal people, and you chat with them, you create bonds. But I think the person who broke the ice right away was obviously Chris, because he was there right away. And yeah, like you said, I mean, it's all different for different people, but like in the end, you create bonds, and everlasting memories. But yeah, at the beginning I was a little uncomfortable and didn't know what to say or do and what not to say. So over time it's changed obviously, but no, definitely a little weird for me at the start.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's interesting that I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of people, when they hear about inclusive sports, they have a bit of that idea or stigma in their head where it's about, well, this is this because it's a way for them to include disabled people. And I thought what was really interesting about when I got into it, and I'll ask you on what you think, but what drew me to it was that it wasn't all disability, like all disabled people. Like, we had a couple able-bodied people that were there, really cool guys, that just really enjoyed the sport. And I think that brought a lot of credibility in my mind, and that's what kind of kept me drawn to it as well, because I ended up bringing friends from school to play sledge in the beginning. So I don't know about you, but like, did you have any able-bodied friends that kind of went along with you, and you noticed that they kind of caught along with it too, or was it
Yeah,
different?
I mean, I brought a lot of friends out. Like, we have a program out at COP every Saturday during the season. It's PX3, and every Saturday, kind of free ice. You can bring out whoever you want because they have extra sleds. So I brought out a lot of friends, and their first impressions like, oh, this is gonna be easy. A bunch of disabled people are playing it, so I can play it. And then they get out there and they realize, how fast and aggressive and how not easy the sport is. So yeah, I've brought a lot of friends out, and they've absolutely loved it. So, and they they're asking me every week, when can I come out again? And I think that's the most important part is bringing awareness to the sport and growing the sport, because unfortunately it's not too advertised. And as far as funds go for teams, even community teams around Canada, it's just not enough awareness, not enough funds, and some kids aren't able to play sports because of that. So, it's tough that way. But, at the end of my career, I want to say that, I was able to change the sport and bring more awareness to it. And obviously, with this sponsorship deal with Adidas, I think, having commercials out on TV and talking about the sport, producing more athletes and more people with disabilities to the adaptive sport world, I guess, brings more awareness. And like I said, by the end of my career, I want to be able to say that I changed the sport in a positive way. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I feel exactly the same way. It's almost you know, it's such a grind because I remember when people didn't even know what sledge hockey was, they had to be like it had to be explained to them. I remember for like a good like 7, 6 years or 10 years, I don't even know. Like it seemed like forever when I first started. Nobody knew what sledge hockey was. They thought it was the weirdest sounding thing. Try explaining the sport to someone. It sounds so stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like you got two sticks and there's picks on the sticks, and then you push in the ice and you're in a sled and there are blades and
Yeah.
there's a bucket, and people are like, "You sit in a bucket?" And I'm like, "No, not like a friggin' bucket, but like
Yeah.
like a seat. Oh, it's like a chair." I'm like, "No, oh my God. Okay, see you later. Here, I'll
Yeah.
just send you an image or something." It's so hard to explain. So when Vancouver happened, like, and a lot of the work that the Canadian Paralympic Committee's been doing along with Hockey Canada, like we used to get sent to like a lot of the women's worlds to do like intermission demos and stuff, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
that was a testament to how hard Hockey Canada was pushing to promote it as well,
Hmm.
and the same with a lot of other organizations. But like it was a grind to just get people just to get them exposed to it. So it's so cool now that like you get to come in and kind of help push it even further by bringing light to it. So going back, actually, now that I think of it, where would you love to see sledge hockey eventually? Like ideally, if you could look back, what would make you happy? Like to look back at the sport and see like ideally, like what would you like to? How far would you like to see the sport come?
Like there's so many routes you can take with the sport too. I mean, you look down at the Americans, and each NHL team has their own sled team, and they're always playing games. They're on the ice constantly, like a regular hockey program. But I mean, for me personally, I talked to I think one of your former teammates, Rempel, and over last summer, and it'd just be so cool to go to Canadian Tire or something like that and buy a sled if you ever want to shoot pucks in your garage, or take it out to the ice or the ODR. And because you go there and you see road hockey sticks, you see balls, and nets like that, and just stuff like that. But it'd be cool to see everyone sort of maybe on a wish list for Christmas or something like this. As an example, I mean, if a kid asks for a sled for Christmas, and maybe don't even have a disability, just I think that'd be the coolest thing is bringing awareness to the sport just as much as regular stand-up hockey is. So again, there's so many paths and routes that this can go down, but again, my main goal is just to bring awareness to it, and make it as inclusive as possible, and hopefully all things go as according.
Yeah, and that's funny too, because like I've got I've kind of the same vision as well, and I think that there's a huge community um, payback in it because not only is it entertaining and it's something that gets people active, but it's also teaches people that there's so many different ways that you can live out your dream, right? You don't have to play for the stand-up Toronto Maple Leafs. Like for me, that was my dream, like to play for the Leafs, but I realized one day I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I went to sledge hockey. Yeah, no, I think we're kind of on the verge of like a little bit of a. I mean, not right now. Everything's kind of on pause. But like I mean, Brad Lazell, like you said, from PX3, I was talking to him a little bit about what he's been doing with that Edmonton team. Like you went to the sled classic. How was that?
I unfortunately didn't go. I was in Thailand at
Oh,
the
you
time.
didn't. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, that's my bad.
That's all good.
uh,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I just assumed you would have made the team. But yeah, that makes sense. So
I got updates though. Like I was on the team and I showed up, and obviously I wasn't able to go, but from what I heard, I think the guys showed up to play, and it was tough. I mean, I hate to say it, but the Americans are, they're as far as advanced in skills, they're there, and obviously they have more availability and more funds, and it's just tough on our end. But no, from what I heard, they did really well.
yeah, well, let's just say what it is. That's why I started this video blog, because it is when you play on a national team. Sometimes you really got to be careful what you say, but and you're tied to athlete agreements. You're tied to this. You're tied to that. You don't want to step on toes because you're part of a team and you don't want it to reflect bad. But like, I would like to just call it out. I just think that sledge hockey has not received enough support in Canada. Like,
Yeah,
I do not understand how every team that has an NHL team in the States is supporting a sledge team. But in
yeah,
Canada, our national sport, where and you know what? We're carrying people over here. We help each other. Sledge hockey is an inclusive sport that is a gateway to help people bounce back from, adversity in their life, help athletes continue on to keep doing what they're passionate about. And it does not make sense to me that there is not something similar set up and in line with what they're doing in the States. It just doesn't. And there are a lot of great people that are helping, and it's changing, and I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on behind the scenes or what's coming up or what's, I live in my own little bubble right now like most people, but I have a good pulse on the sport, and I know what needs to change. But like you said, you know it's going to take people like Adidas and, like I said, Jumpstart and Hockey Canada and all these other people that have been supporting it. I know, like, there's, like you said, with Kevin doing the sledge hockey experience and all that stuff. It's just a grind, and eventually we're going to find the right people that have the heart for it. And inclusive
yeah.
sports don't make a lot of money, but I think it's more of just the stigma around it. But I think the
Hmm.
kids love it. I think it could be somewhat entertaining for kids, and it sends a valuable message to people in the community that they can still be, sticking with something that they're passionate about.
Absolutely, and I think people, when they hear about the sport and not actually see it, there's that awe cute factor. But I know when they see it or play it, it totally changes their mind. And like you said, the funding should be there, and you got some amazing athletes on Team Canada. So I feel like, if you're able to, get these athletes playing even more, just think about how much better they can be. And I think, like you said, adaptability as well for certain people getting into the sport, and just a whole bunch of factors that could be improved. And I think once we do that, it'll be a huge step in the right direction for all adaptive sports.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna correct myself there. I didn't want to just take all of the attention to sledge hockey, because I know so many awesome athletes from different sports, and I think just para sport in general. Um, why is it that if you're able-bodied, there's so many options for help and places you can go to play, and even resources online to YouTube? Like, there's tons of people trying to come up with new content to help teach how to build basic foundations. There's not even a lot of videos online to just how to improve. So it's going to take a bit of work, but I'm glad that we said it. We had the talk, um,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or is there anything you said that you were baking? What's your go-to baking recipe?
Uh,
Move on.
yeah. No worries. I've kind of got a sweet tooth. I mean, after a long day, and after however long of eating healthy and trying to stay in shape, you sometimes just have that craving. So I've been resorting to chocolate chip cookies and Rice Krispies, and um, it's tough. I mean, once you have one, you're just gonna have a few more. So yeah, just making easy things like that, nothing crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I probably stick to. I feel like I wouldn't even be able to get through like cooking the cookies. I'd probably just start eating the cookie dough before I baked it.
Yeah,
I don't really do a lot of desserts, but
yeah,
yeah, no, just I don't know. I don't know really what else to touch on. I mean, uh, I really, honestly, I enjoyed our conversation. This went so good, and I I just was really, just thankful that you even responded. That you said you wanted to do this. I know that you're probably busy, and it's such a hard time for everybody, especially everyone's families. You know, going through all of this together, and you're going through a lot of BS. Right now with all, like what we said, this lawsuit and so forth, and um, I just like to say thank you, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you. And if there's anything that I can do for you as far as helping you reach that dream that you have of making Team Canada, I think I've learned what works and what doesn't work. So I mean, anytime you question something that you're doing and you want some feedback, if I can't help you, I know a ton of other great athletes that can give you some feedback. But I wish you nothing but the best, buddy. You just seem like a really classy guy, and I can't wait to get to know more about you in the future.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me out. I'll do this whenever you want, and I appreciate the support. I mean, definitely, I'll lean on you for some advice in sledge hockey, because it is my main goal, and no, I appreciate it. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching a lot of games, and I've been watching you play a little bit. So not to fangirl a little bit, but it's pretty
You're making
impressive.
me blush here, Ryan.
I mean, just watching you guys is incredible. So, I mean, I have from the 2018 Paralympics, I actually have a jersey on the wall signed by all you guys, which is pretty cool. And you kind of use that as motivation, and it just reminds you of why you're doing what you do. So, no, I appreciate again having me out on this talk. But yeah, anytime, and I'll definitely lean on you for some support.
Yeah, maybe sometime when you're bored, maybe you could just be like a guest or a guest host with me, and we'll just like bother somebody else together.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, cool, buddy. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and tell your folks that I said hi, and just don't eat too many chocolate chip cookies.
I'll try my best.
That's some advice for you to start. Don't do what I do. Do as I say, not as I do. But,
all right,
all right, buddy.
Thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
See ya.